Whoa! I didn't touch any... I was tickling you, you idiot! Royal turned back towards me, his eyebrow quirked in a perfect arch. Really? Seemed like sexual harassment to me. Oh my god, please stop! What's up, guys? The name's Jordan Jagneel, and welcome back to Locked Heart. So last when we left off, everybody turned human! Hooray! We just walked into Gold's room, and we broke the curse, and Royal was there, and he's so handsome as always, but he's still a tsundere. So we were just discussing how that happened, when it happened, why the curse is still on, and the usual stuff. And then we find out that Royal loves gold. That's not new, but we found that out in his... Anyway, we kind of are at a lost cause because maybe we like him a little bit. Don't know. We just feel bad for him because of gold. But anyway, let us continue on more. 2 weeks passed by and no new information about the curse surfaced. There were no dreams with gold that gave me hints, and no one remembered anything new about what the toy maker had said that fateful night. It was disappointing, but everyone slowly resumed carrying on their normal duties, as before, unable to do anything except hope for the best. Absent-mindedly, my hand began to draw circles on the window with the cloth that I was supposed to be using to clean it. I let out a sigh as the realization that I had become attached to the Deluxe household sunk in. It had been so long since I'd had a warm family surrounding me. Even though this was a temporary one, I wanted to protect them and help free them from this spell. Another sigh fogged the window, which I'd been cleaning for possibly the third time after getting lost in my thoughts. Suddenly, an annoyed voice spoke up from nearby. "Get your head out of the clouds, girl." Casting a scowl over my shoulder, I finally finished the window and moved on to the next one. I literally just announced that we made them human, and I was just expecting an angry teddy bear, but then I realized, oh wait, they're human. I forgot. Seconds after, I forget. Okay, moving on. Even though I was given the opportunity to practice my cooking, I still tried to help out with other chores too. Unfortunately, I kept getting assigned work with Mr. Old Grumpy Bear. His attitude hadn't improved much since he became a human, at least not towards me. In fact, he often seemed even colder whenever I said I didn't know anything else about the dream I had. He acted nothing like the Royal I saw that night in Gold's room. I wonder if he'll ever treat me as kindly as he does Gold. I flinched to a stop, my eyes widening, heart throbbing. That thought sounded like jealousy, but I didn't understand how or why I would be jealous of Gold. I felt Royal's piercing stare burning holes into my back. I finished up my window, and shaking my head to derail that crazy train of thought, I hastily tried to move to the next window. A slender hand swept over and flicked me in the forehead. Ow! I recoiled, almost dropping my cloth. Ow! Gingerly touching the injury, I glared at Royal, but he only stared impassively back at me. Why did you do that? I shrugging, Royal returned to his own window. You missed a spot. Puffing out my cheeks, I went over the pain once more, even though I couldn't see the spot Royal meant. You're making fun of me again. No, I'm not. I couldn't stop the groan building in my chest. Royal hadn't hesitated in his response, leaving me crankier than before. I glared at the window, and seeing no spots left, I moved to the next. I demand to be reassigned to another chore. Peeking at Royal, I saw another nonchalant shrug claim his shoulders. Fine with me. But you'll have to talk to Miss Maria about it, so good luck with that. I nearly dropped my cloth in the cleaning solution. I imagined the annoyed look she would surely give me when I brought her my complaint, and immediately decided against it. After only a few days, I had learned why Dion repeatedly called her a demon. Her glare was unnatural. Never mind. Thought so. Tired of his flippant remarks, I just sighed and finished up the windows on the first level. I then grabbed the nearby ladder and climbed up so I could reach the higher areas. As I climbed, I felt a pair of eyes on me again. Oh my god, what do you want? I looked up to the side and flinched when I crossed paths with Royal's gaze. Hi! Again? Okay, then. There was a flicker of amusement in those silver eyes. Careful, you don't want to show off your underwear. A flash of heat shot across my face. Wow, so mature! My grip trembled against the ladder, and I let go of one hand to press it against my dress. Pervert! Don't look! A smirk flicked across his lips. Who would want to? Gritting my teeth didn't stop my blood from boiling. This was not the kind of attention I wanted. Royal, you idiot! Still riled up, I proceeded to take another step, but my foot slipped off the ladder ring. I squeaked in terror as I fell. Even if I wasn't up so high, the impact would still hurt. I shut my eyes, bracing for impact, when instead of striking the floor, I felt my back fall against something soft. My heart still throbbing, I opened my eyes to meet the concerned gaze spreading across Royal's face. My lower lip trembled when his arms tightened around me. Oh God, hi! Are you all right? Yes. My blush had become so hot that it was painful. I had already accepted that Royal was attractive, but him being this close was too much for my heart to handle. I tried to lean away, but there was nowhere to go. Royal, on the other hand, didn't seem to notice, his brow knitting as he sighed. Good. You're such a klutz. I could only blink in response. What? What? I mean, what? I can't save anymore. What is this? I hate life. I should have... I can't go back. I know that for a fact. So, let's see. Look away. Nah, he would be like, what's up? Let's glare back at him. Pursing my lips in a frown, I glared at Royal. He frowned right back at me, annoyance gleaming in his eyes. What are you glaring at me for? I tilted my head to the side, as if observing Royal from a different angle. Then I tried to mimic his usual sarcastic tone. You know, you'd be more handsome if you wiped off that gloomy expression. Flinching, Royal pulled his face away from mine. Shut up! He looked away, glowering at a bookcase across the room. Even from his profile, a pink glow was evident on his cheeks. Oh, you're blushing! I gasped, surprised I got a reaction out of him. I knew it! You do get flustered! As if a switch had been flipped, Royal turned back to me with a chilled, half-lidded stare. I'm letting you go now. I blanched, unable to catch myself or be prepared for that reaction. Wait! Pain shot up my tailbone as I landed disgracefully upon the hardwood. Tears sprinkled against my eyelids. Ow! Royal! I glared up at him, but he pointedly avoided my gaze. He made a show of fussing with his gloves, but I didn't see any purpose to it because they looked perfectly fine to me. Though it was hard to see his face from my angle on the floor, I would bet money that he was still blushing. Yep, we're done here. You should go and help Lily with the laundry now. Bye! Before I could protest his decision, Royal strode from the room, grabbing his cleaning supplies without a break in motion. He didn't look back. For a minute or so, I just sat there, nursing my bruised rear and thinking how Royal could be so mean. Yet it was so hard to stay mad at him when I remembered how cute he looked when he blushed. Yeah, he was cute. I did just as Royal had ordered, and went to help Lily instead. She liked to hang the laundry out in the rose garden, allowing them to dry in the sweet spring air. She was coming in to grab another basket when she saw me, and so I went outside to help her finish folding the rest of the clothing. You know, I never noticed that you and Royal are getting along quite well lately. Lily's statement caught me off guard, and I almost dropped one of Miss Maria's dresses in the grass. I had been allowed to borrow her clothing while I was staying here. I had lost my suitcases somewhere in the forest, and couldn't really go back to retrieve them thanks to the curse. Chuckling at the ridiculousness of her statement, I waved a hand dismissively in Lily's direction. Your eyes are deceiving you, Lily. Me and Royal getting along? If that happens, the world might just end tomorrow. That's exactly what Royal said. If we get along, the world will end. Her ponytail bobbed as she tilted her head. Then she giggled and flashed me a grin as she gently folded one of Soul's shirts into a perfect square. It seemed like she was putting more care and feeling into handling Soul's clothes than anyone else's. Lily interrupted my amused observation of her work. Trust me, Royal has a rather weird way of showing how he cares for others. I expressed my exasperation with a sigh and a shake of my head, carefully folding the remaining pair of slacks into my basket. I think he hates me. He's been bullying me nonstop since I came here. Lily winked at me playfully. That means he's fond of you. Okay. I stared at her, my mouth twisted in a frown. No, he's not. Don't be silly. I know that he acts cold to people around him, but deep inside, he cares about everyone a lot. I flashed Lily an incredulous look, joining her in lifting up the baskets in order to bring the laundry inside. Though she had been teasing me only a minute ago, her next sigh was soft and sad. It may not look like it, but Royal is afraid of being left alone. Seriously? We started to walk a little slower. I kept my eyes on Lily, surprised but not as shocked as I had been with her opening statement. It was just hard to believe that someone with attitude as cranky as Royal's wouldn't want to be left alone. Lily's gaze softened as she spoke again. His parents died when he was only 4, and he was left under the care of our previous butler. Aww. He was always so quiet back then, keeping his head lowered all the time. I suddenly understood what Lily had meant. Royal tended to be abrasive, but he was really just afraid of getting close to someone only to lose them. That makes sense. That makes so much sense. Lily continued with a sad, nostalgic smile. Lady Gold was the one who lowered Royal's defenses. She was so persistent on becoming his friend, but Royal wasn't used to getting all that attention from the young heiress. I glanced at Lily again and saw how bright her smile had become as she spoke about Gold. I couldn't help wondering just how wonderful Gold must have been to have so many love her. Lily laughed, breaking me out of my thoughts. Royal would blush so hard that Lord Dion would tease him endlessly. That's the start of their interesting but weird relationship. So everything started for Royal because of Gold. No wonder she's so special to him. I can't impose on a bond like that. The heaviness started again, and I was glad the basket prevented me from reaching toward my aching chest. Why do I feel this way every time I think about his relationship with Gold? Royal really treasures those who are important to him. Would you believe that he used to smile a lot? Lily had noticed my pained expression, so I tried to keep it a secret, forcing out a laugh at her last question. That guy knows how to smile? Yes, but... We started up the stairs to the second floor, our pace slowing as Lily's story continued. After the curse was cast upon us, his smile disappeared. I can't blame him. He's lost some very important people in his life. My shoulders slumped at her words, but I quickly straightened up. You mean Gold? Lily nodded. Well, yes, but others too. He lost his parents twice. If you think about it, the previous butler was like a father to him. I glanced down at the clothes I was carrying, recalling something from when I had first came here. Dion had mentioned that their butler was long gone. What happened to him? Pausing, Lily took a deep breath, as if trying to form the words. He was one of those who attempted to escape into the forest. Royal, he witnessed his adoptive father die in front of him. I flinched as tears began to blur my vision. I willed away the same painful memory of my father's death. Well, we were toys at the time, so no one felt pain when they died. Still, it was awful. One moment they were with us, and the next they were gone. Trying not to dissolve into sobs of empathy, I didn't lift my foot in time and fell forward on the stairs. Ow! My attempt to protect the basket failed, and I ended up spilling all of the laundry over the hardwood floor. Ah! Oh no! Miss Aura! Are you alright? Giving her a yes, I set the basket down and moved to quickly refold the clothes that I'd scattered. Lily placed her basket aside and helped. As the pile slowly reduced, I noticed a small, beautiful dress adorned with delicate lacing and trim laying in the heap. Oh, this is beautiful. Did you make it? Lily shook her head as she took it in her lap, folding the dress to prevent wrinkles from forming before it could be hung up. Oh no, I'm actually very bad at sewing. Believe it or not, this masterpiece is the work of Prince Sol. He really outdid himself on this one. Yeah, Sol loves to sew, as we saw in his route, and he's very good at it, and he even sewed her own wedding dress. That's great. Awesome. I love Sol. Even as Lily placed the dress back in the basket, I stared at it, awestruck. The pattern was so intricate. Back when Royal injured his arm as a teddy bear, I hadn't expected that what Sol meant by knowing how to sew and also included designing dresses too. You mean he? Yes, Prince Sol is especially good. He has been fond of designing clothes since we were young. When Lady Gold turned into a doll, he felt helpless, but decided that she should at least be able to wear a beautiful dress every day until the curse was broken. I clasped my hands together and sighed. It was sweet of Sol to dedicate his time to creating new clothing for his sister. Even with her heart locked away somewhere, I knew Gold must be able to feel the love from the special people in her life. That's amazing! Nodding, Lily resumed folding the clothes I've dropped. I quickly started again as well, though I looked over to her when a small sigh escaped her lips. I wish he'd sew a dress just for me. Lily hugged a second dress to her chest, her eyes gazing at it lovingly. Have you told him? Regaining her senses, her hand swiftly folded the dress and then moved on to the next article of clothing, but not before casting a sideways glance at me. Told him what? Your feelings. You're in love with him, aren't you? She rushed forward in alarm and leaned over the laundry basket between us so she could press her hands over my mouth. Her cheeks flushed scarlet in an instant. How did you know? Am I really that obvious? When she didn't show any signs of removing her hands, I reached up and pulled them down. Her fingers were trembling a little, so I gave them a gentle squeeze. Frankly, yes, but I don't know. I'm guessing she's like, I don't know why Sol hasn't noticed yet. It could be that he's just really oblivious, or he's pretending not to know. He's pretending not to know. Her blue eyes opened wide, her purple pupils contracting to pinpricks in the light. Her blush spread to her ears. This is so embarrassing! Lily, wait! I tried to hold on to her hands, but Lily was already running away before I could finish my sentence. Giggling a little, I finished gathering the laundry and went to deliver the basket by myself. She's so cute. I do hope that her feelings won't end up hurting her. So, what are you really thinking? Lily's so cute, man. I like her. Even after a week, I still continued to mull over what Lily told me about Royal. I knew he was capable of smiling, but I never thought that he used to do so a lot. And somehow, I really wanted to see him smile more often. Not only would he be less scary, but his face was sort of cute when his mouth curved up. I was soon determined to bring a smile to Royal's face. So far, however, I'd been completely unsuccessful. I hadn't seen much of him either after having been assigned to different chores since that laundry day. Even so, I wasn't going to give up. I wandered the halls during my scheduled break, trying to think of new ways to find a smile. Smirks didn't count. I was so wrapped up in my musings that I didn't hear the mischievous patter of footsteps until two hands shot out and tickled my sides from behind. Boo! Oh, Dion! Stop it! Yeah! Dion! I attempted to glare at the oldest, the locked son, but my heart was beating too fast and my startled blush just caused him to laugh even harder. You're so cute when you're flustered. His smile was dazzling and amused. My cheeks burned at his unexpected compliment. You look so deep in thought, I couldn't resist. Of course you couldn't. But it's so good to see you. I didn't know what to say to that. My heart was still pounding from the surprise of being tickled. It had only been a playful grab, but it was embarrassing all the same. My cheeks stayed flushed, but I quickly remembered that Royal and Dion were close. They seemed to argue often, but it had always seemed like Dion was only teasing Royal. Maybe this was my chance. Is it true that Royal actually smiled before? He looked thoughtful. Yeah. And he had the most sinister smile I had ever seen. At least, that was the one he'd wear most of the time. I giggled, wondering what reasons would make him smile that way. Dion tipped his head to the side. Why the sudden interest? I pursed my lips and gave him a quick glare. Even his question had a teasing hint to it. When my actions seemed to have no effect on him, I gave up and answered in response. Because he's always so gloomy. And, well, I really just wanted to see... I just really want him to smile again. You still think of his happiness despite his cold attitude towards you. You're one weird girl. Dion's smile was still bright and silly, but I noticed something different about his eyes, almost as though he was relieved to hear my answer. I tried to defend myself. It's because he's been carrying such a heavy weight on his shoulders. I wanted to realize that there are many wonderful people here who care so much about him. Dion still didn't answer, though his smile softened as he thought about my response. Just as I was about to ask him what was on his mind, he opened his mouth to speak. Do you care for him? Of course, and I would bring back his smile. I responded immediately because I earnestly wanted to restore that smile. Do you like him? Yeah! Wait, what? No way! I turned my head to the side, trying to hide the color rising to my cheeks. But it wasn't untrue. I did like Royal, at least a little bit. Aw, it's cute. I had always felt something special when I was around him, but it was only now, when it had been put into words, that I finally knew what that feeling truly was. The more I thought on this realization, the more embarrassed I felt. Dion started laughing even harder. You're cuter when you blush. Well, good luck with that. Good luck with what? Hi, Royal! Speak of the devil. I spun towards Royal's voice. He had walked up behind me without a sound, much like Dion had done earlier. Lately, I'd started thinking that the reason the men of this house excelled at being sneaky was to escape Miss Maria, and this series of incidents proved it. I could feel my blush deepening when Royal looked between Dion and I, his eyebrows quirking. Royal! Taking advantage of the distraction, Dion leaned in close from behind and whispered into my ear. Now's your chance to make him smile. I shivered a little as his breath tickled me. I whispered back to him, heart thumping. I didn't mean it literally. My mission had suddenly gone harder. Royal's lips formed into a frown, and he crossed his arms, telegraphing his annoyance. He had used that same expression on me endlessly in the last month or so. You're both acting weird. I guess birds of a feather do flock together, huh? I flinched. His tone sounded unreasonably sharp, and I thought I heard an edge of bitterness as well. Why was he acting this way? Shifting to my side, Dion stared at me with anticipation in his eyes. I noticed Royal's crinkle, but I had to face Dion first. What? What? You have a mission to do, right? Beaming, Dion set his hands on his hips in anticipation of my first move. My heart spun out of control as the idea that I had to do something to Royal sunk in. As time passed, Royal's frown deepened. What mission? I pressed my lips into a line, not knowing what to say, and absently began fussing with the hems of my dress in embarrassment. Dion flashed us the most innocent smile I had seen on him yet. After a moment, Royal huffed in disgust and spun around to leave. I don't need to waste time with fools. Dion looked at me pointedly, and I nodded. I knew I'd lose my chance if I didn't act. I should... Oh, right! Save! We're gonna tickle him. Even though telling a joke might be that good, but I want to tickle him. I want to see what he does. He might get mad, but I don't care. I want to tickle him. Before I could make a decision, Dion gave me an impatient shove and sent me stumbling towards Royal. An idea suddenly came to me as I tottered closer. I reached out towards Royal's sides, trying to tickle him just as Dion did to me earlier. Yeah! Instead of laughing, Royal went bored stiff, letting out a gasp. He twisted back towards me with his face scrunched in surprise. To my disappointment, no smile greeted me. What do you think you're doing? I murmured incoherently, my fingers still bended in the tickling pose on his ribcage. And where do you think you're touching, you perverted girl? I'm not being perverted! It was my turn to freeze. I glanced down at my hands and immediately scampered backwards. Whoa! I didn't touch any... I was tickling you, you idiot! Royal turned back towards me, his eyebrow quirked in a perfect arch. Really? Seemed like sexual harassment to me. Oh my god, please stop! My plan had failed. Royal wasn't smiling, but his expression had my heart beating unbearably fast. There was a familiar teasing glint in his eyes. It's not! Dion sauntered up from behind and slung an arm over my shoulders. He was shaking with laughter. Sayora, seems like you need practice. How about trying your tickling techniques on me instead? No! Eh? I stared at Dion with wide eyes, not sure I had heard him right. Before I could think of an answer, though, I felt a hand wrap around mine. Like hell she would. Ooh, is somebody getting jealous? Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I flinched, surprised by the volume of Royal's voice. He shot me a glance. Let's go. Not waiting for a reply, Royal held onto my hand and dragged me down the hall with him. I glanced back, just in time to see Dion give us a small wave. Excuse me. We stumbled down another hall before I looked back at Royal with concern. Royal? Where are we going? We turned into a third hallway before Royal stopped and faced me. If he touches even a single strand of your hair, I'll make him pay. Ooh, oh my gosh, he's getting jealous. He's getting jealous, but he already touched me. He tickled me. I froze at Royal's sudden and unexpected comment. As my brain registered his words, a blush spread over my cheeks. Still sucking, Royal pulled my hand closer. If he ever does something stupid again, come tell me. Understood? Are you worried about me? There was a moment of silence before Royal flushed a dark red, as if the logical interpretation of his words finally hit him. No, I'm not. Sure, keep telling yourself that. I couldn't stop my smile from spreading. Despite the usual gruffness in his voice, there was a tenderness in his expression that caused my heart to beat faster. I'm so glad. I thought you hated me. I could never hate you. My eyes widened. I couldn't believe what I had just heard him whisper. What? Nothing. He cleared his throat and glanced down, his face red all the way to his ears. As if noticing for the first time that my hand was in his, Royal quickly let go and made a performance of adjusting his gloves. Like what you're doing right now in your Sprite? When will he ever fix it? I said that wrong. When will he ever finish fixing his glove? Never, apparently. My heart, however, would never forget the words he had spoken. Now, care to explain what that was all about? I hesitated at first, feeling uncertain. Excuse me. Ooh, I'm going to keep the choice of tickling him because that was the best reaction I've seen. However, I knew Royal wouldn't just let the topic drop, so I gathered my courage and tried to answer. Everyone seems happy now that they're humans again, but you're still so sad. You should be happy that the curse is almost broken. I know that we can break it completely, so you just need to have faith. Royal lifted a hand to interrupt me and spoke in a chilling voice. This isn't your concern, so stop sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. Stung, I looked down at the floor. I knew the topic was sensitive to him, but I hadn't expected him to shut me out so fast. But I just wanted to see you smile, Royal. Royal flinched. I glanced up and saw his reserved expression shift into a confused half-smile, half-pout. His blush seemed to be trickling back, too. So that was what it was about. I sighed, toeing the ground with my right foot. I tried, okay? Royal sighed back in response. He looked exasperated and unapproachable, the patch of his barrier that I had penetrated regenerating again, sorry. Just give it up, girl. You won't gain anything from doing this. But you will. His frown didn't disappear, but my reply seemed to get through to him. His eyes widened and his brow wrinkled in confusion. I could see that he was trying to figure out my motive. I gave him a small smile. You'll be happier if you smile. Did you know that frowning uses more muscles than smiling? Not to mention all the wrinkles that will develop if you keep... Royal shushes me, rubbing his temples with one hand. Why do you want me to smile so badly anyway? Because I wanted you to stop feeling guilty over what happened. Realizing what I just said, I slapped my hands over my mouth. Shit, we shouldn't have said that. But it was too late. The words had already escaped. Oh, that's okay. Well, okay then. You eavesdropped on me? I froze when his arm shot forward, his body trapping me to the wall. I hadn't seen such intensity in his eyes before. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to... He punched the wall. Oh, gosh. It did not land anywhere near me, but for the first time, I was truly scared of him. Help! How irritating. I've been trying my best to tolerate your idiotic behavior, but it seems my patience has run out. We were better off isolated from the rest of the world, but now everything is complicated because of you. The low growl in his voice was frightening, matching the cold fury in his eyes. His words stung, as though he had stuck a knife in my chest. You've been brought nothing but trouble for us. I tried to stay calm, but his words were so hurtful. All this time, I hadn't thought Royal saw me as someone unpleasant. Suddenly, I doubted the rare kindness he did show me. Tears blurred my vision. But what irks me the most is your optimism. Stop acting like everything will be solved simply by believing. Blinking back tears, I lifted my head and challenged Royal with the toughest expression I could manage. But deep down, all I wanted to do was curl into a ball and cry. It wasn't a bad thing to wish for happiness for him and everyone else, and I wasn't going to apologize for it. You said that believing won't solve anything. Yet, you still believe that gold will one day turn back to human, don't you? Royal flinched, gray eyes wide as I revealed his true feelings. I knew Royal wanted to be as optimistic as I was, but he was too afraid of disappointment. I know that you're always going to her room, waiting for her return. But you know what? You're not the only person who's waiting for her. Sol, Dion, Lily, and Miss Maria are too. Royal bit his lip, contemplating his response. I didn't wait for him to speak. We're all powerless against this curse, but they... No, we can still continue to believe that one day everything will turn back to normal. Still, Royal didn't speak. He only stared at me with cold, hesitant eyes. Soon, the contours of his face blurred completely, and I realized that the tears I'd been trying to hold back were flowing down my cheeks. Oh, I have to stop crying. But no matter how hard I willed them to stop, the tears continued as more words tumbled out of my mouth. Do you know how hard it is to wait for someone who will never come back? For me, it was my father, then my mother. She left me during the time I needed her the most. Do you know how long I waited for her to return? How long I decided myself, hoping that she had just gone somewhere far away and returned to me again one day? Except she never came back. But you, there's still hope that gold will turn back. That's why. I choked on my words, sobbing. All the feelings that I'd locked inside were spilling out. Ooh, Aura, don't cry! You're gonna make me cry too! Oh my god! I'd been struggling so hard to pretend that I was strong, that I could move on without her. But I was wrong. I stumbled in surprise when Royal suddenly pulled me against him, his arms wrapping around me. I'm sorry. He squeezed me tighter. I'm sorry. You weren't the one at fault. I was mad at you for no reason. Oh, Royal, stop it! The truth is, I have been angry at myself since this curse began. I closed my eyes, enveloped in his warmth. I cried even harder. Eventually, I pulled away so I could look him in the eyes. You always have such a gloomy aura, as if you carry all the weight in the world. I don't know the burden you're carrying, but remember that you're not alone. You can lean on others every once in a while too, you know. That's what we're here for. Royal looked deep into my eyes. His pained expression was filled with shame and regret. How can I do that when this curse is my fault? My jaw dropped at his confession. Royal, what are you... Just when I thought that Royal had finally lowered his defenses and decided to confide in me, his expression stiffened, now rigid and cold. It was as though he reverted back to his old self. Sorry, I needed to clear my head for a bit. Okay, bye? With that, he turned to leave, not giving me a chance to respond. I stayed where I was, staring at Royal's retreating figure. My mind whirled, still confused by his admission. What did he mean by that? I couldn't sleep that night. Royal's words kept replaying in my head. The curse was my fault. I had thought the reason he kept on apologizing to Gold was because he had broken their childhood promise that he would always protect her. But he seemed to think the curse was cast because of him. But how is that possible? They were cursed by the Toymaker because of their father's wickedness. If that were the case, where did Royal come into the picture? I shut my eyes and tried to come up with answers, but no matter how hard I thought, nothing made sense. Not to mention that thinking too hard was making my head hurt. Wait a minute. Am I imagining things? Or is that the heavy scent of pine? I could have sworn I closed the windows earlier. I opened my eyes and gasped when I realized that I wasn't in my room anymore. Instead, I was standing outside of the mansion. The orange sky was slowly bleeding to purple in the light of the setting sun. How on earth did I get here? Is this a dream? This is the day everything started. I jolted in surprise when a voice spoke beside me. Oh, it's the toy maker. There stood a tall, beautiful woman wearing a ragged cloak. Her long blonde hair cascaded down her shoulders, and her hazel eyes gazed at me with gentleness and warmth. Her look was completed by the teddy bear charms dangling on her belt. I knew at once who she was. You're the toy maker! Indeed. I had so many questions to ask. As I opened my mouth, however, an angry voice interrupted me. What is a peasant doing near my house? A man that was standing by the porch spoke up. He was probably in his mid-40s, with blonde hair and strikingly handsome features. He reminded me of Sol and Dion, only with a dark aura surrounding him. That's the father. That's Lord Deluxe. I still couldn't quite believe I was witnessing the events of the past. I stared at him in awe. The past version of the toy maker stood in front of him, holding 3 teddy bears, a large brown one, a yellow one, and a small white one. They were all too familiar to me. Please, it's getting dark and it would be dangerous for me to travel alone in the forest during the night. I don't have any money, and these are all I have. Angered by the toy maker's offer, Lord Deluxe slapped her hands away, scattering the toys across the ground. I have no need of such things. Leave now or you'll suffer the consequences. After his wife died, he drowned himself with work. I looked at the toy maker beside me, who was watching the event somberly. As a result, he became obsessed with power and money. He lost sight of the good man he once was. I looked at the scene again, and gasped when I saw a younger version of Royal run outside the house and picked up the teddy bears. He looked nothing like a Royal I knew, so innocent and vulnerable. Leave those alone, you brat! The young Royal stepped back, the teddy bears clutched to his chest. I could clearly see him shaking with fear. But... Did you not hear me, child? Your selfishness and wickedness has gone too far, and for that you shall suffer the consequences. Enjoy what you still have today, for it will be all gone tomorrow. The Lord shot her a deadly glare. 3 children, all of whom shared the same blonde hair, peeked behind him. I immediately recognized who they were. Father, what is going on here? Brother, I think we should go back inside. Young Sol clearly looked scared while he tugged at his brother's shirt. Teddy bears! The youngest daughter happily pointed at the teddy bears Royal was holding. Dion, take your siblings back to their rooms, now! His voice was cold and firm. Yes, father. The young Dion quickly took their hands and ushered them inside. Wait! Young Gold broke free from Dion's grasp and ran to the toy maker. She gave her a sweet smile before handing her a beautiful red rose. For you! Let's go now, Gold. This time, Dion pulled her sister with him, and the siblings disappeared inside. The Lord let out an exasperated sigh before turning his attention back to Royal. Take her out of my sight, boy. But my lord... Now! Without another word, Royal took the toy maker's hand and pulled her away from the mansion. She didn't protest, instead letting him lead her silently. The scene blurred, and then we were standing at the entrance of the forest. Royal handed the bears back to the toy maker. I'm really sorry, ma'am, but you must leave now before my lord gets angry with me. The toy maker from the past gazed back at the mansion with a sad face. Tomorrow, the Deluxe family will be no more. The surroundings turned black, leaving me and the toy maker alone. I slumped onto the ground as realization dawned on me. The reason why Royal blames himself was because he was the one who was ordered to send you away. And that is why the curse isn't completely broken. A warm sensation burned in my chest. I quickly pulled out my locket to find that it was impossibly warm under my skin. I gasped as the color darkened, only noticing now that it was covered with more rust than before. That locket belonged to Gold Deluxe, and that is where I've hidden her heart. She gave it to your mother as a parting gift. I didn't curse your mother like the others. Instead, I sent her home, erasing her memory of the Deluxe as she departed. I wanted to give the Lord of the Deluxe time to think about his mistakes and learn from them. Unfortunately, he didn't. Remember the barrier? Anger surged inside of me. That was the reason why they were trapped here. The reason why most of the household died. Why did you have to do that? Did you know how many lives were taken because of that? The toy maker frowned. The barrier I casted was only to prevent the Lord Deluxe himself to leave the mansion. But because of his anger and selfishness, he wanted to keep everyone in the mansion with him. And so the harmless barrier I casted turned into a deadly one. I opened my mouth to say something, but no words came out. How much more lives will be ruined because of the Lord Deluxe's sins? Now I felt more determined to help end this curse in order to free everyone from their pains. Tell me, how do we break the curse? The curse was supposed to break once the locket came near Gold's room, but it seems something has once again interrupted the curse. What do you mean? Gold is pure metal. It will definitely tarnish over time, but it should not have rusted. A heart in distress has wished for the curse to remain as it is. This is what is meddling with my magic. I knew who was troubled, but still, Royal wanted to see Gold again. So why would he make such a wish? That person needs a change of heart in order to break the curse. What can I do to help him? I honestly didn't know what I could do. Royal had lowered his defenses with me only once, and I doubt that it would happen again. The toy maker looked at me and gave me a wry smile. Her image was slowly evaporating into the darkness. To break the curse, forgiveness must be attained. That is the only answer I can give. Alright. Whew. Oh, poor Royal. But, we're gonna stop here for today. We'll continue more of Lockhart in the next video. The video shouldn't have gone on that long, but what can you do? Things get more interesting and you just wanna keep going, am I right? I'm so sorry, but I feel so bad for Royal. I almost cried in that scene too. Oh my god, poor Aura. I felt bad, and then Royal too. Man. That got me a little bit emotional. I almost cried. I didn't cry. I almost did. Alright, so with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you guys like to see more of my videos, then click subscribe. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!